SM, the Media Project. Driven by data. Driven by technology. Driven by community development. Driven by the need to get results for your project. SM Graves Associates. Delivering real estate development to you, including project management and pre-development services with a keen focus on delivering community-oriented projects. We build profitable projects that respond to the needs of your neighborhood. Join the SMG family. Find us at smgravesassociates.com.
Howdy, all you Are We Here Yet fans and listeners. This time around, I have two essays that I recently published at smgravesassociates.com/articles. The first deals with kind of what I'm dealing with in thinking about technology and thinking about our personal agency around technology and just the frustration that I really believe we all feel with technologists and billionaire oligarchs right now and the state of the United States. Conversely, and more solutions-oriented, the second goes back to this past spring when I had the opportunity to present to the fine students at Rutland High School here in central Vermont, my adoptive hometown. And we talked about the principles of construction and creativity versus destruction and consumerism. Kind of the why philosophy behind why we build in the built environment and helping the students choose what their future looks like. I hope you enjoy both. Stay strong, love learning, and be good citizens all. Man's attitude toward nature is today critically important simply because we have now acquired a fateful power to alter and destroy nature. But man is a part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself. We are challenged as mankind has never been before to prove our maturity and our mastery, not of nature, but of ourselves. So said Rachel Carson in 1962's publishing of Silent Spring. I believe in a world where human beings respect the agency of all living things, including their fellow human beings. This includes taking a hard look at what our needs truly are, then realizing and respecting the needs of other living beings. This also includes maintaining a healthy relationship to the technologies we choose to deploy in an effort to make our human lives better. A vision for a tech future rooted in the idea that some tech visionaries are more intelligent and therefore are entitled to rule over others through their own, in quotes, charter city or, in quotes, cross-border model, like that found in Prosperer, or within the confines of a platform experience, or by some other drastic change in governance, is nothing more than a 21st century iteration of fascism and of classism, a tiered system of control and conquer. It's colonialism writ large, and sold to our neighbors with a smile, pure betrayal via visually stimulating app experience, ever encouraging us to delve deeper, spend another hour or two with our face inside a screen. It's stupefied Star Trek. Roddenberry broke down territorial and colonial barriers with his technological tools. They were used to empower human behavior and intellect, not stupefy through media while we steal any value to control. And it's one group of the entitled attempting to suppress another by encouraging the latter to give up their agency over media content and the tech that delivers the steady drip of endorphins, keeping you and I temporarily satiated, while our democratic ideals are flushed down history's sewer. I find it curious that we're living in a society where it's hard for me to gain knowledge for how my personal information is used by tech companies. A society that makes it hard for me to know when that information is sold, doesn't pay me for the privilege, and in fact will even make it harder for me to sue for damages if the worst happens to me. A predatory business model that needs to spend millions to lobby government or change governing principles in order to thrive represents a drastic example of people propping up technology. Our job is to use tech to make our lives better, not for us to support predatory tech at our own expense. Tech giants were supposed to do business in a different way. They were supposed to be better than this. Remember the TED Talks? Remember the Apple commercials during the Super Bowl? Remember the 5th of November. Where's our Guy Fawkes? Oh, wait, that's not a great example. And why would we need a hero to prop ourselves up? Isn't a hero worship that got us here in the first place? Turns out you can't make endless billions without negative consequences. Turns out big tech is simply big business by another name. I recently had the pleasure of presenting, then discussing workforce opportunities for the built environment with high schoolers in my adoptive hometown of Rutland, Vermont. We participated together in Rutland High School's Global Progress Summit. The design of my presentation offered a series of questions, considerations really, that I wanted to impart on my young audience so they can cultivate their fundamental selves, which I offered to them was the first step before considering the more pragmatic, what do I want to do? And given everything going on in our world, including in housing this summer of 2025, I'm feeling philosophical and wanted to share a bit from that presentation. I asked the students to first ask themselves, what kind of person do I want to be? And what kind of world do I want to build? We began with a quote from the great poet, writer, and thinker, Wendell Berry. This quote has hung prominently in every business incubator space I've ever developed and led. And it goes like this. In the loss of skill, we lose stewardship. In losing stewardship, we lose fellowship. We become outcasts from the great neighborhood of creation. It is possible, as our experience in this good land shows, to exile ourselves from creation and to ally ourselves with the principle of destruction, which is ultimately the principle of non-entity. It is to be willing in general for being to not be. And once we have allied ourselves with that principle, we are foolish to think that we can control the result. You'll find this on page 303 in his book, The Gift of the Good Land, The Art of the Commonplace, The Agrarian Essays. The students and I then took the opportunity to break this down. In the loss of skill, we lose stewardship. In losing stewardship, we lose fellowship. We become outcasts from the great neighborhood of creation. To have skill is to be able to create, to heal, to rejuvenate, to be a part of what becomes an endless cycle, something bigger than ourselves, like farmers who steward the land for millennium. This brings humans together. That's the fellowship. And when we lose this, we lose our connection to that which bore our entire universe in the first place. Next, it is possible, as our experience in this good land shows, to exile ourselves from creation and to ally ourselves with the principle of destruction, which is ultimately the principle of non-entity. You see, to deny ourselves the joy, the love that comes from creation. How many theater kids out there? How many music kids, poets, writers? How many robotics kids? I had the students give a show of hands, which they did quite aggressively. And then I asked, now, how many of you consider yourselves to be creative? Because when we deny ourselves our inherent need to create, we deny ourselves love. We deny ourselves community. We deny our humanity and the humanity of others. In our society, we become simplified, stultified. We become consumers. This is when we become and follow the principle of non-entity. Next, it is to be willing in general for being to not be. And once we've allied ourselves with that principle, we are foolish to think that we can control the result. To simply consume is to destroy. We have the power to be a member of the Earth's great community and to steward or serve one another with positive creation. Or we also have the power to consume and to do so at the expense of our neighbors. But you see, once we unleash that raw consumption without bounds, we may never be able to control it until it consumes us. If we embrace the idea that craft and skill relate to fellowship, that relates to stewardship, if we agree that the opposite of positive creation or construction is destruction, and if we agree that to construct is to be human, while the opposite, destruction, is inhuman, then we cannot deny we need to pull away from our destructive consumption obsession. This destructive mindset is affecting our politics, economy, and climate. It is causing a mass mental health crisis with our youth. Young people make up for a lack of life experience or ways to tell themselves whatever they want to hear with intuition. They rely more heavily on their inner voices. They inherently sense when we adults are telling ourselves a load of bullshit just to get through the day. They know, and we certainly know. It's time to get creative, to value building a new community, a renewed commonwealth. It is time to build the housing we need. It is time to build the neighborhoods our inner children long for. It is time for a new construction. It is time to end destruction.
SMG's Are We Here Yet podcast is a production of M the Media Project and SM Graves Associates. Learn more at smgravesassociates.com.